Let's take you to this story now. Cape fur seals along the southern African coast are facing an ongoing threat, stubbornly persistent rabies. Despite efforts to control the disease, experts now suggest that the eradication may not be feasible and instead it should be recognized as endemic among these iconic marine mammals. To speak to us more about this, let's now welcome Lesley van Helden from the Western Cape Veterinary Services. Thank you so much for your time, Lesley, this afternoon. What factors, maybe let's start there, contribute to the persistence of rabies in these certain regions, making it eradication unlikely, as we are hearing in this particular instance?
Well, eradication of rabies in wild animals is extremely difficult. In domestic animals, we know how we can control it, and that's through vaccination. So in dogs and cats in South Africa, vaccination is required by law. But in wild animals, vaccination is extremely difficult to do. You can't catch seals and inject them. And oral bait vaccines, which have worked in some countries, aren't really an option for seals because they don't pick up things that they find to eat. They hunt live prey. So really, with that known, we're left with very few control options to be able to eliminate the rabies virus from the seal population.
And just having looked at, other areas, perhaps, are you reading anything into that? I mean, just how it can, how others have done it, or is this something that is completely unique to South Africa?
It is a unique situation. The only wildlife rabies control that has been done successfully has been of small terrestrial carnivores. So, for instance, red foxes in Europe, and it's been using those bait vaccines. It's a vaccine that comes in a small blister pack, and then when the animal bites into it, it pops in the animal's mouth, and the vaccine makes contact with the inside of the mouth, and the animal is vaccinated that way. So that's not really an option for us to use in this scenario, unfortunately. And that's the only successful method that I'm aware of that's been used in large populations of wild animals.
In recent times, we've seen incidences where seals bit at bathers in some very remote beaches. What are the implications then of endemic rabies for public health?
Yes, well, rabies is a very dangerous disease, so it's very important for people to know about it, to be aware of it, and to know what they need to do if they suspect that they've been in contact with a rabid animal. So the first thing we tell everyone, prevention is better than cure. Stay away from wild animals, and that doesn't just include seals, that's any wild animal in general. They can be dangerous, they can be aggressive for many reasons, including protecting themselves. So give wild animals a lot of space. Then if you do see a wild animal acting strangely and you suspect rabies, please contact your nearest state veterinarian, and they'll advise you and be able to respond to the situation. And then if you have been in contact with an animal you suspect has rabies, if it's bitten you, licked you, scratched you, go immediately to your nearest health facility and get wound treatment and rabies prevention, because that can save your life.
And just in terms of how widespread this particular, condition is, or disease, what are we looking at here, particularly in the southern coast?
Well, we're still gathering information at this stage because it has been fairly newly detected. But so far we've had 17 positive cases. And those span along the coast between Azefontein, which is the furthest north we've had, and Plettenberg Bay, which is the furthest east. But that doesn't mean that rabies is restricted to this area, because Cape fur seals can and do swim very long distances. And we've had some researchers have a look at the DNA of the viruses and compared it with other viruses in the Southern African region. And it looks like it is related to viruses in Namibia. So we believe that at least part of the outbreak may have started from wild animals in Namibia that had rabies having contact with seals. So we can really consider anywhere along the coast where there are Cape fur seals, and that's the whole of Namibia and South Africa up to about Algoa Bay. Rabies is a risk in seals anywhere along the coast where they occur.
And I mean, just reading up about it, we of course understand that this population of particularly Cape fur seals ranges between 1.7 and 2.1 million, spanning a very long coastline, approximately 2,800 kilometers. So I would imagine you are, particularly as researchers, very concerned about this and what it could perhaps mean, particularly in that area, the southern Angola to Plettenberg Bay areas, and as you say, of course, going into other countries.
Yes, for sure. And we are also concerned about the potential for rabies to spread to other parts of the world because seals are marine mammals, so they have contact with other marine animals. Rabies is a disease of mammals only, but there are many mammals in the sea that Cape fur seals could have contact with, seals from the subantarctic region, whales, all kinds of mammals like that. And we are concerned that rabies may be spread, for instance, to the Antarctic region through animals in the sea.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate. I think let's leave our conversation there for now. Of course, that was Lesley van Helden from the Western Cape Veterinary Services.